Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft-serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.
Welcome to Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak, and I'm here to read you a bedtime story. For the first time in a while, I don't have much to say up top, so let's just get straight to the story. This is by author AA Peterson. This is The Pancake Family. How's my complexion? That pale, huh? Jesus, I bet I look like a ghost. I'm still in shock, I think. I feel like I've bled out 2 gallons. I'm sorry to ramble. It's just that I'm... What's the word for it? Detached. Strange feeling. Seen it enough times in the field. After all I've been through, I figured if I was ever going to experience it myself, then I would have experienced it by now. I feel like I'm floating outside of my body. Just cut the cord and I'd float away. Did you see the crime scene? No. Do yourself a favor. Don't even look at the pictures. Don't even touch the file. You'll thank me later. I can't get my knees to stop rattling. Is that why you're holding on to your coffee like that? I'm shaking the table, aren't I? Oh, hold on a second. Let me back up my chair. There. That's better. Thanks, Hob. Can you confirm for the record that you're waiving your right to an attorney? No, I'm still not interested in an attorney. I mean, yes, I'm waiving my rights. Sorry. Are you sure? Yes. Let the record show that Detective Hobson Millgates, retired, has waived his rights to an attorney. I won't need a lawyer after the DA stops puking and considers taking it public. There's no way they're showing that to a jury. There's nothing harder than mercy sometimes. I did what I had to do. It just happened to be hard and ugly. Are you hungry? No. I think I'd just puke again if you gave me anything. Are you ready to begin? No, but I'm as ready as I'll ever be. What led you to the crime scene on the night in question? Would you believe I was planning a fishing trip before all this started? Never mind. It was a reporter, name of Stacy Bamer. She contacted me a week ago by email and claimed she had new information on the Driscoll murders. I was the lead investigator, and I'm Sure, you know, the case had gone unsolved for 20 years. The case was as cold as ice. I thought it was a gag at first. You know how that can be. Most of the time, it's not even on purpose. Everyone thinks they know something that'll crack the case wide open. The Driscoll murders were a big story around these parts. Over the years, I must have gotten a couple hundred fake leads. I handed the investigation over to Detective Warren Carroll when I retired, but I didn't want him to be bothered with any fake bullshit. I know he's busy with all that new gang activity that's going on. Since she contacted me, I figured I'd check it out for him, as a courtesy. I wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. I met her for lunch at Per Year's Cafe. She was a good-looking blonde gal, so she didn't fit the typical profile of a hoaxer. Not that I put too much faith in profiles after 40 years. She might as well have been one of those creepy gals that gets off on death. God knows. I've dealt with enough of those. She seemed normal enough, but I still thought she might be pulling my leg, or maybe she had been fooled too, but she had a file with her. It contained what appeared to be a confession by the Driscoll. Well, he wasn't a murderer, was he? I really do wish he had been. You know? It would have been so much better for everyone. Can you please fill us in on the relevant details of the Driscoll case? Let's see, it would have been 20 years ago now. As I've said, 20 years ago, there was a disappearance. Thinking of all those years. I mean, 20 goddamn years. That's a long time. Take your time, Hop. Thanks. The Driscolls were a family of 6. Out in the suburbs, upper middle class. Father was an attorney, mother ran her own business selling pottery out of the house. He even had her own kiln. 4 children, all high school age and below. Good kids. Honor roll. No criminal records to speak of. The oldest son was caught smoking dope at his high school once, but nothing much beside that. Just the typical stuff you find when you look at people too closely. They disappeared October 13th, 1994. No trace was found of the bodies. That's why it made the press go crazy. You still see it show up on some of those unsolved mystery shows. A whole family disappeared and no one saw a thing. No one knew where they went. A neighbor lodged a sound complaint, which is how we found the scene. There was an alarm going off. Neighbor called it in. Figured it might have been a fire. When no one answered the door, the patrolman went in to investigate. There were obvious signs of a struggle in the youngest daughter's bedroom. The bed had been flipped over and the sheets were torn. We found elevated concentrations of carbon monoxide in the fabric of all the bedspreads except the youngest daughter's. The alarm was a carbon monoxide detector, which is how we knew to look. The neighbor indicated the sound had been going on for over a day, and he'd been unable to get anyone to answer the door during that time. We also found several aluminum canisters and some hoses in a dumpster a few blocks away. At the time, we assumed the Driscolls had been gassed and disposed of at a different location, excepting, of course, the daughter, who woke up at the end and put up a struggle. The investigation gave no leads. Of course, our first thought was that the father did it. We checked it out, but he didn't have a motive. No leads to check out. Same with the mother. Surviving family checked out clean, too. The father had a few clients who might have had motive, but the means weren't there. He was a divorce lawyer, but not for anybody who could have taken out an entire family without leaving a trace. There was a chemistry teacher who lived 3 blocks away. We investigated him for a while because of the canisters, but he alibied out. Same with a dentist who lived nearby. The wife had an online flirtation with some kid out in England, but nothing adulterous, and he wasn't even in the country at the time of the murder. We settled, unhappily, on the idea of a random killing. Hardest pieces of shit to catch. We must have sunk tens of thousands of man-hours into this case, tracking down leads. The canisters had been stolen from a laboratory 10 miles away. There was no security footage. We couldn't find any leads on the thief. After more than 6 months, the investigation went cold. The Driscolls had been knocked out and abducted. Like I said, no one ever found the bodies. Who was to say they hadn't just run off? Until, well, you know the rest of that. I'd rather only talk about that once. What can you tell us about how the confession wound up with Miss Bamer? She'd been following the case for some years, both personally and as a reporter. Like I said, it captured the imagination of a lot of people. Even seemingly normal folks thought it could have been aliens, ghosts, or demons. Miss Bamer published a retrospective on the murders, given the 20-year anniversary. It caused a renewed interest, which happened from time to time. As usual, I declined to comment, citing lack of new evidence. I remembered her asking for my quote, though, which is why I accepted the lunch meeting. After publication of the article, Miss Bamer claimed that she had been sent a file. She wished to have me authenticate the most pertinent part of the file was a confession. I assured Miss Bamer that such false documents are not uncommon, especially on older cases like this, and that I'd personally heard 24 confessions of the Driscoll murders. She was insistent. Once I felt she wasn't trying to pull off a hoax or getting off on the idea of talking about a murder, I agreed to the meeting. She stated that it had been mailed to her in the same envelope she showed to me when we met for lunch. Can you describe its contents? Old newspaper clippings outlining the progress of my investigation. They seemed appropriately yellowed, so I'd guess they were from the trophy book of the perpetrator. There were also 6 photos alleging to be of the individual members of the Driscoll family, as well as several other photos of the facility where they had been taken. My hands won't stop shaking, see? I'm trying as hard as I can, and I just can't make it happen. I'll have to ask this paramedic for a sedative when I'm done with the statement. I don't think I'll be able to sleep otherwise. No, I'm fine for now. I don't want anything to interfere with my recollection for your recording. Just carrying it around in my head is like... Sorry. I'll stay focused. The photos were of the Driscoll family, of course. At the time, I didn't know that. The photos had aged poorly, and they could have been anyone. It was very hard to distinguish features, However, given the elaborate nature of the file, I figured it did warrant a further look. As to the confession letter, well, it was brief. It gave an address. That's the first thing I noticed. I couldn't locate the address online, which meant it had to be old. The confession letter said, "Stop printing lies. I never killed anyone. I just took a while to get them ready for breakfast." There was no signature included. I just remembered something. God damn it. We got sent a breakfast menu a month after the disappearance. Someone had drawn a red circle around a picture of pancakes. The letter said, "They're not dead. They're getting ready for pancakes." We put it in the junk lead file. God. Detective Milgate, do you need a moment? I'll have to ask the paramedic for a sedative when I'm done with the statement. Can you make sure they're ready with one? This is going to be rough. We did try to track down that menu. We could never find out where it had come from. It wasn't any place local. The identifying information had been cut out. Why did you decide to personally investigate the location mentioned in the letter? I wanted to make sure it wasn't a hoax. I still wasn't convinced. I had 20 years of people sending me fake evidence. I guess maybe the case captured my imagination too. I always imagined one day I'd think of something I'd overlooked and solved the whole thing. Felt unbearable to have someone dump the whole thing in my lap. I needed to see with my own two eyes. Miss Bamer had pinpointed the location with city records, but neither of us was sure if it was still there. It was an abandoned industrial building. The last time it had a valid mailing address was 50 years ago. Might have been caved in for all we knew. I think I also wanted to be the one to crack it, whether or not it was dumped in my lap. That case has hung over my head for 20 years. Miss Bamer and I agreed to meet there the following morning. Can you describe the crime scene? Yes. It was an industrial building, as I stated, approximately 120 feet long, but maybe 45 feet wide. It was a wooden structure, and at first the condition seemed to match the neighboring buildings. However, I noticed the facade had been recently patched in a few locations. Further investigation also revealed that the entrance had been chained and locked. My understanding was that it used to be a sheet metal shop. At least, excuse me. Is there a bucket? I might vomit. Thank you. Sorry. I thought I was empty. No. No. I want to get this done with. Then I'm going to want that sedative. I could smell something from inside the building. Very faintly. I figured that would count as probable cause. Not that I need it as a civilian, but you never forget the way a corpse smells. They were bad enough that they had the same smell. I hadn't forgotten how to pick a lock, so I let myself inside. You know, I really do wish they had been corpses. I really do wish he had been a serial killer. I really do. Do you believe me? Please say you believe me. I do. Can you describe the interior of the building?
Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.
I'm trying to focus through this. I really am. I'm sorry. It's just that I'd like to go sleep after this for a very long time. Is the paramedic here? Is the sedative ready? Thank God. The warehouse had not been as abandoned as we were previously led to believe. The interior had a hallway with 6 rooms. The construction was old but visibly newer than the rest of the building. The walls between each room had been soundproofed. There were no windows to the outside or doorways between the rooms themselves. The only access was through the hallway. I tried to make Miss Bamer leave at that point. The smell was stronger inside. The rooms contained presses. Hydraulic presses. 4-foot by 8-foot custom presses. I couldn't figure out what they were at first because they were hovering over what looked like hospital beds. There were IV bags in each room, as well as other medical equipment. That's how he kept them alive for so long. Of course, I think I might be seeing black spots. Do you need a break? The idea of having to start the scan is worse than the idea of finishing it. Then please describe your next course of action. The building was obviously an active crime scene. I had no doubt at this point. I was in the lair of what I believed to be a serial killer. I tried to tell Miss Bamer to leave several times. She refused on the grounds that it would not be right to leave me on my own. There wasn't much time to make an issue out of it. My opinion of her was that she was a bit nosy, but basically all right. And I didn't think she'd be a liability if she stayed out of my way. I had to make a judgment call as to whether or not I should proceed on my own in case the family was somehow impossibly still alive, perhaps in danger, or if I should leave and call for backup. I had told my wife where I was going previously, so she knew my absence would be noted and reported if the worst happened. Neither of us could get cell phone reception. Sorry, I'm rambling. It was then that I heard not even a gasp. It was like a gasp, but not really. I don't want to describe it any more than that. There was a sound. It drew my attention further on. I had to act. That's all that matters. There were some stairs at the very far end of the warehouse descending into a basement. I told Miss Bamer to remain behind and pulled my service revolver. I had a flashlight on my person as well and turned it on as I descended into the basement. The basement had been hand-dug, maybe even over the course of the entire 20-year disappearance. I don't know. The floor was dirt, and there was a tunnel that retreated far back enough that it had to be supported with struts at regular intervals. When my flashlight first illuminated the stack they had been dead. I wish he had been a serial killer. Please take a moment. After I recovered, my first thought was, thank God, they're all dead. How am I supposed to go on with my life after this? I'm 64 years old, for Christ's sake. I'm not a young man who can forget things anymore. When you're young, you have this sense that you're invincible and that you're never going to die. I don't have that to protect me anymore. Look at me. Look at me whining when they had that done to them. It's my fault. I should have found them, saved them somehow. I'm sorry, Hob. I've got to ask. Can you describe the scene? Yeah. Yeah, I can. I didn't know what I was looking at first. Hell, I still don't. It was a stack, maybe 2 feet thick. From the stink and coloring, it was obviously made of flesh. I thought maybe he'd hacked them up and stacked them up in pieces. That would have been bad enough. The first thing that alerted me to the truth was the eyeball on the top of the stack was a perfectly round eyeball in the middle of a socket that had been distorted to the size of a saucer. That's when I realized what I was looking at was 20 goddamn years of torture, basically. He had the entire Driscoll family under those presses for 20 years, keeping them alive on an IV drip, increasing the pressure on them so very slowly that their bodies had time to adapt until they'd been flattened like pancakes. He squished them by about 1/4 inch every year for 20 years. Then he'd pulled them out when they were too broken and wretched to move, without any chance of recovery, and stacked them on top of each other. I've got no idea what for. I don't want to know. And I was still thinking, thank God they're all dead, when the one on top started gasping again. What did they say? Nothing at first. It couldn't speak without help. I think it would have been Avery Driscoll. Not that I could tell much about the gender or the age, but the hair was blonde, where there was hair. The head was a mess of scars. I think the son of a bitch who did this must have removed parts of their skulls. I've got no idea how he got their heads so flat. Otherwise, not as flat as the rest of the bodies, but flat. Who the hell knows how their brains handled that? Their lips were punctured by teeth everywhere after the presses had flattened out their noses, I guess. Avery was 14 when he disappeared. I've stopped shaking. Goddamn weird the way our bodies work, isn't it? There was a machine, a sort of pump. I followed a hose with my flashlight and realized everyone in the stack was hooked up to the pump. I don't think they could breathe on their own, you see. Not after a while. There simply wasn't enough volume for their lungs to inflate. There was some sort of opening cut right into each of their chests. There was a switch on the pump. I don't know why I pressed it. I was in a panic. I wanted to do something, maybe Some stupid part of me thought that if I switched it on, they would inflate and be okay. I switched it. It increased the volume of air to the topmost hose. I could hear the pump working harder, which is when Avery Driscoll started to scream. He begged me to kill him. He said other things too. He didn't make much sense. He was in pain, and I would hope he had gone insane several years previously. Oh my God. My thoughts exactly. I didn't know what to do. He wouldn't stop screaming. I believe he was convinced I was his torturer. A closer look at his eye revealed that he was mostly a mess of white scar tissue. He was as blind as a bat. You know, I spoke with some burn victims once. They told me that they managed to find meaning and purpose again after a while. I don't know how anyone in the Driscoll family could have done that. I stated my name. I told him I was a detective. I told him I was there to help. I repeated it over and over again, knowing, of course, there was nothing that anyone anywhere could do to help. Miss Bamer arrived, drawn by the sound. Before she saw the stack, she told me that I had screamed, and she came to help. But I do not remember having done so. Nevertheless, she arrived. Then she saw the stack and screamed, but I was intent on Avery Driscoll. He was able to hear. He became lucid for a few moments. It was a strain to understand what he said, but I will never be able to forget it. Please kill me. It hurts. I don't want to be a monster. Please kill me and tell my family I died a long time ago. I don't know if they're still looking for me. Don't let them know what happened to me. Please kill me. He could still cry. And he did. Although his tear ducts were too deformed for it to be noticeable. I should have forced Miss Bamer to leave. That is the only action in the matter which I regret more than failing to solve the case 20 years ago, not just for her own sake, but for what she did next. I don't think she could have wounded them any more deeply if she'd tried. She took away the last comfort any of them in that stack had. You see, they had not been able to speak to one another for 20 years. She said, "That's all of them, isn't it? That's the whole Driscoll family. They're all alive in there. The whole family." For 20 years, each member of the Driscoll family had been unaware their fellow inmates were the other members of their family. They'd all been holding out hope that their family was okay. All been dreaming someone out there loved them and was free from suffering. Do you know what the screams of 6 people tortured over 2 decades, smashed down to a width of 4 inches sounds like when they're all stacked on top of one another? It sounds like the gates of hell swinging open. I think that is enough, Detective Milgate. Not yet. I shot them. Mercy is hard, but I owed it to them. I am the one that failed to save them. It only took 1 bullet to go all the way through. I emptied my revolver, though, to make sure they didn't linger, to give them that final piece. It was the only kindness I had to give them. We left and called for backup after that. Neither Miss Bamer nor I wished to remain with the bodies. I elected not to follow the crime scene investigators back into the basement. I asked if I could make my statement and leave, and after one of them saw what I had seen, they agreed. May I have my sedative now? Yes, of course. Thank you. Please show in the paramedic. I'll roll up my sleeve. My wife has diabetes, so I'm well aware of the routine. Oh, and please Make sure you have the same courtesy available for Miss Bamer. She seemed to have it worse than me after. Poor woman couldn't even throw up or cry. Of course. Do you know where she is now? She told the lead at the crime scene she was going home, but we haven't been able to reach her. Did you try the paper? Which paper? The Daily World. Are you sure? There is no Stacy Bamer on the staff with the Daily World.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed tonight's story as much as I did and as much as I had fun recording it. Man, I love it when I get to just really, it really releases some demons. If you like this show and you'd like an ad-free version of it, you can find it on patreon.com/scareyoutosleep, where there is a new Ramble You to Sleep there waiting for you if you are interested in more of the rambles. And you can also follow me on social media at Scare You to Sleep, or me personally at Shelby B. Novak. If you have a story you'd like considered for the show, please send it to scareyoutosleep@gmail.com. And what else? You can follow the Facebook group. You can buy merch on Fourth Wall. There's a link for the merch down below. You can send me an anonymous message. There's also a link in the show notes for you to send me an anonymous message or question or what have you. Yeah. You can also find me on 2 other podcasts, and that is the Bloody Disgusting podcast every Wednesday and the Lady Killers every Thursday. I will also be at Midsummer Scream, so if you're going to be there at Midsummer Scream in Long Beach, California, please stop by the Bloody Disgusting booth to say hi. If I'm not there, just ask around. All of my colleagues will tell you, when I'll be back or where I'm at. So yeah, please stop by to say hello. And let's do a little baking corner. We haven't done a baking corner in a little while. We haven't done a ramble on the main show in a little while. I've had a lot of sponsors recently, which is a good thing. But I also don't love to ramble on my sponsored episodes just because, I don't know. I can't explain why it feels weird, but it just does. But I did do some baking this week. I looked up a chocolate chip cookie recipe, did not put chocolate chips in it, put it in the fridge. In the meantime, or actually before I did any of that, I dolloped some Nutella onto some plastic wrap that I put on a plate and put that in the freezer. Made the chocolate chip cookie recipe. Formed them around the dollops of frozen Nutella. Baked them in the oven for, I think, 375 for 15 minutes, I want to say. That'll vary depending on your thickness of your dough and things. I didn't use any particular, I did use a chocolate chip cookie recipe, but I just kind of drew one out of a hat. That was a smaller batch one because I didn't want a bajillion cookies. They turned out fantastic. Highly recommend doing that if you like stuffed cookies. A lot of people do it with the chocolate chips still in the chocolate chip recipe, but I personally find too much chocolate too rich, and I don't like it. So I took the chocolate chips out, and it was very good and well balanced. I sprinkled some flaky sea salt on the end as well. Speaking of cooking, what are your guys' go-to summer recipes? I feel like I'm in a slump when it comes to cooking this summer. I don't know. I feel like nothing is hitting what I'm craving. It's like I make something and it's not bad, but it doesn't hit the spot mentally, I don't know. What are you guys out there? What are you cooking out there? What are you baking? What are you guys doing? Give me your tips and tricks, your ideas. Give me some inspiration. Feel free to use that anonymous little thingy or email it to me. Doesn't matter. How are your summers going? I feel like I'm at the part of the summer where it's just so hot. It's in triple digits every day. So I'm having trouble sleeping, even though because I don't have central air. I have like a little shitty air conditioner in the living room that's built into the wall. And it's like a window unit, but it's in the wall. And then I have one that I had purchased a long time ago that's in my bedroom. It's also like a portable one that has a tube that goes, the whole thing, tube in the window and all that stuff. And I just feel like even though they both work, it's still like I just am sweaty and not comfortable at night. And I've just like felt, I don't know, like not able to sleep very well. And I've been having really weird, vivid dreams. And yeah, I think a lot of it is just stress. I talk more about it in the ramble, but my career is in a weird place right now. So I think it's a lot of stress and just kind of constant, not having time to like bed rot, essentially. I'm not a big bed rotter type person, but there are times when I wish I could just power down for a little longer. And I've had a lot more like social obligations, which, because I like to show up. I feel like people are really flaky these days. So if a friend of mine has an event or invites me to something, if I can go, I will go. And sometimes, honestly, to the detriment of needing that time for work things. But it's also like, I want to show up for people. And then you get into this headspace of like, I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to get into it. You never know who's listening. So I'm just not going to get into it. So, but anyway, I've been in a weird space. When am I not, though? Like, when have you ever turned on this show and you're like, wow, she's particularly normal and just in a great place right now? I don't know. Maybe there are little pockets of time here and there. But anyway, I think I'm going to go and let you enjoy your weekend. I'm going to go do some social obligations this weekend and try to fit in some work around that. So I will talk to you all next week. And yeah, I've got to get up on doing some bonus episodes for when I'm out of the country in September. Or not bonus episodes, but like getting episodes done ahead of time. So I have some fun ideas for those episodes though. And it was just brought up to me recently that it's going to be soon to start getting submissions for the kids episodes, which I'm so excited about. Every year, that kids episode, it makes me just so happy. So if you had any interest or your kids had any interest, just know it's not quite yet to send in. Do not send them in yet. But we're gearing up for some submissions. So tell any little ones in your life to start, getting that thinking, that little horror incubator going in their brains. So, all right, I'm going to go. And you're going to go. And please drink your water. I need to drink my water. And get some electrolytes. Drink some pickle juice. Put some salt on a watermelon. Do what you can. We're all just living out here. All right. Go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.
Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.